Does this thing run on various platforms?
The moment runs, the prototype system, it runs on the Macintosh and underneath or on top of, HyperFlash. Ultimately, it will run on any of the platforms that we described. The moment it requires the Macintosh because we have not spent the money to finalize the product and differentiate it so it's platform specific. If you've understood, this is really simple. There's no big deal about the technology. The thing that made the technology so obvious was trying to relate meaning to the world. Once you do that, the technology becomes no-brainer, obvious, just kind of pulls in. And it's not technologically complicated either. But it does cost more money than I have in the bank to build it all.
It represents also as much possibility for creativity and cost savings on the operating side and what we're looking at in terms of possibilities for using it on the learning side.
Yeah, there's a company called the Roche Organization that owns Plato, which is not a very good testimonial for them, but they do $50 or $60 million of industrial courseware development for Fortune 1000 companies in the United States. They evaluate just the authoring paradigm, because they don't really care what it's being learned, but it's not their job. Which is kind of the attitude that a lot of publishers have, unfortunately, too. Their interest is, well, how can we create whatever the boxes are that we got to ship more effectively, more efficiently, more economically. From that point of view, they evaluated our offerings with the guidance from Linia and said, geez, this will save us 50% of the time and money that we currently spend to develop. There's just too much to get at this time, and I want to get more of the flavor and whatever than anything else.
While David's doing that, I think from Apple's perspective, it's been somewhat of a frustrating experience. It's been a frustrating experience for me because while I very deeply believe in what he's doing, even within Apple, it's a very difficult sell. We have gone to the vice president of engineering with this and shown it to him. He said, what would anybody want to do with that? What would they want to do with that? That's not very interesting. It's it doesn't use the power of the Macintosh. It's not. It doesn't require high-speed memory. It doesn't optimize. It's just not. It's not very interesting.
That's the reason people buy the product.
And what we are finding, again, very unfortunately, is when I have literally, I think educators on every continent of the world have sat down for a couple hours like this, and I have yet to have an experience where they don't come away and say, gee, I can see some tremendous value in that kind of approach. I'd really like to see that kind of orientation coming to technology to support education. And yet when we go to the investment bankers and we go to people with money, they say, yes, I see that too, but I'm not willing to put a nickel in education. If you want to go into industrial training, we'll fund you tomorrow. And we'll give you money.
In fact, we're on track to do that by June. And I'm scrambling my cat to find parallel partners so that the bias doesn't make us 2 years in industrial training.
So I guess there is a couple other things that you might want to consider if this is something that's attractive to you. It would help me a great deal, and I think it would help David, if you were to make your views known both to Apple Canada and to Apple in Cupertino and say, hey, this is the kind of thing that I'd like to see coming down the track. And if you were to make your views known both to Apple Canada and to Apple in Cupertino and say, hey, this is the kind of thing that I'd like to see coming down the track, and this is the kind of affordable technology that I think is going to meet the needs of children in the future. So we're really quite close, I think, to the end of this track where I'm concerned, because I have a real faith in what this could do for kids, that it's going to end up in an industrial training mode, and he's going to be put on a track where he can't afford to do anything else.
You know, I'm not sure that we'll let that happen no matter what, but the other modifier to this is that while for a couple of years we've been in the cage about this, we've been able to talk about the technology, but not the broader vision. So it was hard for us to get out, to stay confined to a conversation about technology and as it relates to the market and not have the vision conversation. We're just now starting to be able to articulate that and be able to get that through in the technical aspects of the presentation to have conversations like we've been having today. So while we have had some difficulties, as Alex mentioned, we're at an entirely different level of development too. The technology is more mature. We've sought out groups with entirely different biases from every possible different take on what is education about, what is technology's role in education, try to imbibe and learn, get dialogue and work with that towards evolving something that falls through the cracks and works. So yeah, we're very concerned about it. Right now, finding a way to not get biased against the spirit of our reason for doing this. Yes.
I can understand your concern about the training track, but it seems to me we all face that dilemma. It's a matter of perhaps recognizing that, relating to it in whatever way you're required to in the short term and the long term at the same time. Look at, I think that Michael or someone mentioned the global direction, the vision of what's possible, and what I think here as much about the presentation was that, and sensing that the relationship to society, the kinds of people come out of learning to be learners, and the implications that we're back to organizations and systems, is something that could be emphasized.
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, we're working with people like the chairman of the Ways and Means of California's Assembly, other people in different political networks who are beginning to understand the implications, the social implications of this kind of a movement taking root. We're also very cautious about it becoming another buzzword that keeps it from budding at the right time. But we're just trying to be real careful, trying to put forth what we've got and try to find people that can learn with us, but take this thing forward in the way it works. And all we're trying to say here is that it's not that we're not going to be doing industrial training things, but we're not going to be doing many other, as I mentioned, there's a series of other companies and dialogue projects, and uses of the independent organization inquiry. There's Learners Unlimited, who's put some papers around DIACOM, which is short for dialogical communications, which have implications for the way telephones work, and the way that business networking occurs, and Learning Insights, focused on children, focused on education. A number of different ways that ourselves and a team is starting to become stellar on doing this. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we don't get blinders put on. That yes, we're going to do things in this domain, but not instead of what we're doing. And to me, the most important thing we can do is learn how to evolve a learning-oriented inner interface with children. Because I don't think there's anything else, there's nothing else I'm interested in.